I wasn't expecting to introduce today, so I don't have a clever time loop introduction set up, so fuck it. Welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, episode 375.
Woo!
This is Chris, and joining me today are...
I wasn't expecting to introduce today, so I don't have a clever time loop episode gimmick going, but this is episode 375, and this is Ames.
I wasn't expecting to introduce today, so I didn't have a clever time loop gimmick planned. But this is episode 375.
Woo!
And this is Jake.
This is Chris.
And this is Ames.
And this is Caitlin!
That is one of the Teen Girl Squad.
Yikes. I think Caitlin just bowed out today so she wouldn't have to do the blogtivity.
Yeah, no one wants to do that.
It'll be an interesting one when we get there, but first...
Yes, thank you to Jake and Ames for bailing me out there. As you may have guessed, we are discussing magic to make the sanest man go mad.
Listen, Stamets was never the sanest man.
Yes, he was the insanest man, I think. Yeah, yet another unnecessarily long episode title from Discovery.
Yeah, which again, I'm pretty sure they made up. I don't think this is
a reference to the Iliad, I think.
Is it? Okay,
yeah.
This one's actually at least from literature.
I think it's supposed to be about Aphrodite's belt or something. I wrote it on the card. I don't know. I don't really get the reference myself. But...
Yeah, I'm not a classicist, unfortunately.
Yeah,
so.
Somewhere on the internet it said reference to Aphrodite's belt, I think.
Yeah, it works for me.
Because, women's genitals make men go mad. I don't know.
That sounds like something the Greco-Romans would have, yeah. And I mean the modern world too. But anyway, yes, in Magic to Make the Sanest Man Go Mad, we open on a party which is interrupted by a space whale.
Friend.
But that friend has been commandeered by Harcourt Fenton Mudd in a funny hat. And he's got a time loop device, and he's using it to gradually plan the perfect heist to steal the Discovery and her secrets and sell it to the Klingons. And
also kill Lorca as many times as possible.
Loves killing Lorca.
So much. And luckily for the Discovery crew, because Stamets done shot himself up with tardigrade, he is not quite in sync with time and actually remembers he's in a loop.
He's Guinan!
Which means this poor prick probably has remembered dying 60 times. Unlike everyone.
Like a normal day
not
for him.
Everybody dies every time.
The ship does seem to get blown up every time.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Does it not?
I don't think it does.
How does time reset?
It just resets.
He can just reset. But
he can just reset whenever.
At the very least, though,
his little keypad.
Every time we're shown it except that last time, maybe. The ship blows up a lot.
It does blow up a lot.
At the very least, Stamets has felt death many, many times.
Yeah,
but for that matter, so is Mudd.
True, yeah, because he remembers too. And yeah, good point. So the two of them, anyway, because of that, Stamets manages to enlist Burnham to help...
Stewart.
Yes. Enlist Burnham to help him enlist Tyler, and they come up with a scheme...
Using her Aphrodite belt.
Yes. They come up with a scheme to rewire non-critical systems because they know Mudd's going to take over the critical ones so that his call to the Klingons gets rerouted to Stella and her old man who've been looking for him because he ran off with a dowry, and they take him into custody, for lack of a better term. Oh, and there's a whole thing where Michael kills herself because she lets Mudd know who she is, and he's like, oh my god, the Klingons would pay extra if I bring you.
Eye roll.
And, yeah, that's the short version.
Yeah.
Oh, and she does smooches with Tyler.
Lucky
and
bitch.
I'm into it.
First off, though, I do have to make a correction. So the last time we talked about an episode with Harry Mudd, I referred to the actor as the guy that played Dwight Schrute from The Office. And I owe that actor an apology because he's not just Dwight from The Office. He's also one of the Thermians from Galaxy.
Oh my god,
yeah,
he
we talked
is!
About that.
That's right!
And that is a position of honor. So, Sir Rainn Wilson of Galaxy Quest fame, I apologize. You are a phenomenal, accomplished actor.
I forgot he was one of the Thermians. Isn't he the one that runs the transporter, actually? Like, is he the one that actually gets to
No.
say "and exploded"?
No, that's not him.
He's just he doesn't do a lot.
Okay.
He's really only around in the beginning. I think you don't see him much later in the film.
Okay.
And I think he only speaks maybe in the limo ride.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Still,
Jake and I just did a
completely
rewatch because Jake just got the 5K,
Yeah, I just got the
15K version.
20K version.
Oh, nice.
That just came out.
I do see you have the Hallmark protector.
We do, yeah.
Which, if that's not all but formal acknowledgement that it is a Star Trek film, nothing else is.
Yeah, Hallmark does this shit. And we also realized, which I don't think we mentioned when we covered Galaxy Quest on a previous episode. Go check it out in our back catalog somewhere. What did we learn, Jake?
Daniels.
No.
Also a Thermian. The guy that plays Daniels, also a Thermian.
I mean, he basically is one, so that...
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it doesn't make me like the character anymore, but I do love they cast a guy who previously played someone who was a Star Trek super fan to basically play us, because that's what Daniels is. He's a Star Trek super fan.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least an Archer super fan. That makes his casting very funny. I still despise the character.
I mean, to be fair, Galaxy Quest was before Enterprise.
No, that's what I mean, though. Like, when they got to Enterprise, I'm sure they weren't thinking it.
Oh,
But to me, it's funny that's like, all right, we get this character who, like, has a huge boner for Archer, and they cast a man who's, previously played a character who had a huge boner for Star Trek. But not Star Trek. That's funny. That's great.
Yeah, watch Galaxy Quest.
Yeah.
Excellent movie.
Great movie.
So good.
Great movie. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Mr. Mudd's time flipperies.
Yeah, so this is interesting. I actually really like this episode overall. And it's very reminiscent of one of my top TNG episodes, Cause and Effect, where the Enterprise is in a time loop.
Lack of Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah, that's true. It would have been, that would have been great if they got Kelsey Grammer in to play the father of
oh my god, Baron Grimes.
Oh boy.
That's the thing. When they introduced the Baron Grimes stuff at the very end, the whole episode, I think I wrote this down. I wrote it down. The episode plays like a TNG story because it's basically kind of a cause and effect-y thing.
Yeah.
They're concocting schemes and they're figuring out the problem as they go. And then it just has this TOS fucking ending.
Oh yeah,
that's goofy as hell.
Can I talk? I know we're kind of going in reverse order, but I guess we're
that's
out of the
appropriate.
time stream. So
yeah.
So the ending, I have big trouble. I really like this episode, except the last 10 minutes. The resolution, because here's the thing: once they figure out what's happening, and they kind of skip over some things in the end because.
It's repetitive as hell.
But it's never really. I never really understand how, because Burnham comes up with this plan to sacrifice herself in one timeline so that basically prey on Mudd's greed in the next timeline. But the thing is, and it's not shown, she never communicates this plan, as far as I know, to Stamets, who was. He was beamed away.
Oh, that's right, because he needed to be sequestered to do the jumps. And shit.
So he was beamed away by Mudd. Then we don't see Stamets again. The next time we see Mudd is Burnham. Jeez, Berman. Rick Berman. Michael Berman. When the next time we see Mudd is Burnham going into the ready room to talk to him to execute this plan. So presumably there's a missing scene where she comes up with this idea, goes to Stamets, and is like, here's what we're going to do, because in the next timeline, Stamets has to explain the plan back to her. Otherwise, she won't know what to do. He has to be aware of this plan to tell Burnham that, oh, by the way, Mudd knows who you are, and this is the plan that we're going to do.
While I do enjoy this episode a lot, I will say it does feel like in the last few scenes they kind of forget that Michael doesn't have memory between.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Who was she with then when they say, "Oh no, Mudd's got everything he needs," and she says, "Ah, not everything. He doesn't realize he needs me."
I mean, he doesn't need her, certainly. They definitely over-egg that.
They do.
I think it is fair, though, that, a guy like Mudd, when he's told, hey, you know how you want to make a lot of money? How would you like to make even more? I think he'd go for that.
Oh, yeah, no, but I also think that, Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that was on the bridge after Stamets.
Yeah, he's already gone.
And, like, I really was annoyed by that, by the way. That was another thing that pissed me off. Why the fuck... Like, Stamets... It's just, like, such shit writing. Stamets goes, I cannot bear to watch you kill my friends again.
Yeah.
I'm the guy that you need. I have the ports built into my arm.
Yeah.
Why do that?
Yeah, he should seriously be threatening to kill himself.
Like Michael does.
Like Michael does,
Like,
to say, because I know you need me, I'm the linchpin. I'll kill myself if you do this.
Or not even tell Mud that at all. There's no Mud isn't gonna find that figured out.
No.
Like, and you can just redo this as many times as you need to figure out what the plan should be, because in the very next loop, as far as we know, maybe we don't know. There could be more loops. We don't know, yeah. But presumably there isn't, because once
Mud knows everything.
Once
now.
Mud knows everything, there should be no more need for loops. So presumably in the very next loop, they hatch the plan of hijacking the comm system, which they could have done with or without this whole Burnham eating the fire tamale thing.
Yeah, fire tamale. They just needed him to reset again.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all that her, I'm the most important on this fucking show of all time gimmick comes up.
Yeah, it's the only thing is to trick Mud into resetting time so that they can hatch the plan, which presumably they already had.
It's also that Tyler can live.
Yes, that too.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a little selfish on her part.
Well, yeah, once Tyler dies, this isn't the final loop. Because we're not going to not have Tyler.
That is the thing, is by the end, I kind of wonder if they managed to save everybody. Because,
Right.
Every other loop we see him kill some crew members,
especially
but this time...
the Gormagander.
Yeah. And that poor vet.
Well, so then here's the other thing I dislike about the ending. Is that why, other than for the audience to go, why reroute the comm system to Stella? Why not reroute the comm system to Starfleet security? Or to fucking anybody? Or to nobody? You have him dead to rights. As soon as his wristband vanished, you could just kill him. There's no reason for it to go through, have any more to do with this guy, or better yet, arrest him because he's fucking guilty of, arguably you could get him for many murders, despite the people still living.
I was saying, that I do wonder. We've had so many Star Trek lawyer episodes. I don't think we've yet had, Your Honor, in a timeline that was erased.
But at the very least, you can get him for violations of the Endangered Species Act.
Definitely.
Which we learn about in this episode, which apparently protects Demogorgons. Whatever. And he obviously was abusing that animal, so we got him.
Parked a ship in its ass. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So we got him for that at the very least, but I'm sure attempted hijacking of a starship is a crime.
Oh, definitely. I would imagine.
So he don't send him off with his wife where he will inevitably
get away.
Arrest him, put him in jail, and then Kirk won't have to deal with him in several years.
And that's the problem, of course.
And that's
they
the problem.
Resurrected a character
they
needs to show up later.
They need an easy out for 10 years from now.
And also, they can say any inconsistency in his criminal record as spoken in TOS and what we've seen here is down to the Baron having, these records are what they have since the Baron bribed somebody to get rid of them here.
I also don't like the Baron, and that the Baron exists.
I do love his costume.
He did have a great costume, but here's the thing. I feel like the writers just fucked up so hard with this ending, because A, they didn't take the obvious route, which is what I was saying, but also, they didn't take, if they were gonna have, a fan wank by having Stella show up, here's how you do that. You have him confidently, you don't have the crew explain the plan to him in the hallway before it hatches, first of all. You have him thinking he's won.
Yeah, the reveal should have been
and he goes into the transporter room with the crew that he's keeping prisoner. And he confidently is standing in front of the transporter pad, and the camera is facing him, looking all smug, and then you hear the transport and you see the glow, and then all you hear is Harcourt! And you do that. That's the fan wank reveal. And then his face sinks, and he's like, And then you have, we rerouted the comm signal. You thought you were signaling the Klingons, but actually we were signaling Stella. And then she just nags him, and he's like, no, please arrest me. Please, just put me in jail. Please, no, anything but this. And then she beams away with him, and that's it.
Yeah, like that's the thing is that's kind of how I remembered it going.
That's how it
not the
should
please,
go.
not the please arrest me part, because I remember that didn't happen. But like I thought it was he walks in, they appear, and that's when they, reveal the ploy.
That's if you're going
that's
for
the
a comedy
version.
ending,
which
I don't think they should have done anyway.
Yeah, which is still
True.
stupid.
Which is still stupid, but if you do have to go, for whatever reason, with a comedy ending, and it is a Mud episode, so I'll grant you a comedy ending, that's the funny
That's
joke.
the way you do it, yeah.
Not, let's explain the whole plan to him so he knows he's fucked.
At the very least, even if they explain most of the plan, they could start dragging him in there, and he's like, wait, so who did I call? Who did I call?
And then the hardcore, and just to have to introduce the character of Stella, and have her not be shrill, is a crime against television.
Yeah, she seems to actively love him, and then you wonder what went wrong.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about this since this episode premiered, because I knew we'd have to talk about it one day. And there's a couple ways you can look at it. One, she's married to Mud for at least a while. That's gonna change you. Alternately, two, this is how Mud views Stella in the robots.
Oh, that's a good point.
It's not necessarily how she is. It's strictly Mud's perception of her. Which, and there's clearly at least some amount of authority there with her that he doesn't like. Because, she does, at one point, squeezes his arm, looks a little angry. It's like, all right, she can give a little bit of a whipping to him if she wants. But yeah, I think mostly the main thing is you say, this was Mud's perception of Stella, not really Stella. Which I think fits with his character.
Fair, but I still think it's funnier if she's...
Yes!
If she's shrill.
Yeah, and if they were very clearly going with the reference, with the, people who get the joke will find this particularly funny.
Yeah.
Which I just found groan-inducing.
Which, again, to me is I always said this with our last Mud episode, but I wonder how much of the modern audience cares about Mud. I love Mud, but, again, like I said last time, I feel like most people who are into Trek now came on board later and maybe haven't seen the Mud episodes. Maybe. Or if they have, they've seen Mud's women, but not Mud necessarily.
Yeah, they know that Mud is a thing, but they don't necessarily. Yeah,
it's they maybe know of Mud as a concept, but Stella's a slightly deeper cut on a cut that's already risky.
Yeah,
kind of.
Well, I think here's the thing though, and here's what I think they missed in this, the way that they told it here, is. Throughout the episode, and even in the previous episode, Mud professes to, my beloved Stella.
Yeah.
And the reveal that he's actually running away from Stella and
with the dowry?
And presumably doesn't care for her at all. That reveal comes from other characters.
Yeah.
It's a tell and not a show.
Yeah.
Because the other character's well, we figured out you get the blah, blah, blah.
In that case, how would your reveal of the hardcore end up working if no one has the context?
Well, I think what we'll see, I think it's told through Mud's reaction to her being there. Is that this whole time, he's been acting like he loves her, and he, I just want to get back to my beloved Stella, and this Klingon prison has kept me from her. And then when he's confronted with actually being with her is when he is like, actually, I'd rather go to jail.
Or even the way you can have the sort of the reveal, and it's still a tell, but it's a little more organic, is she's there, Harcourt, he's like, oh God. And then the Baron just kind of walks and and here we thought you'd simply run off with our dowry.
Yeah, if you're going to do that.
I think I agree with you. It's overall a good episode, but they kind of fuck it up in the last 5 minutes.
I think they do. But I do really like... I'm a sucker for time loop type episodes, Groundhog Day.
I remember this having a longer montage of Lorca deaths.
Me too!
And I was like, oh, that's it? 4? We need more. We need way more and way more creative Lorca deaths. Because the one where he's beamed into space is great. And then it's over. I'm like, wait, I want more.
That's grim, but true. That's the other thing that's weird about having a comedy ending. It is really, in a way, a fucking dark episode. Like, he murders a lot of people and enjoys it.
Yeah, the tone is all over the place because you're also in this romance plot where we're partying an awful lot and everyone is drunk and making out in the background. You're like, holy shit, Detmer can get it.
Yeah. And Reese tries at one point with Tilly.
Missed that.
In the foreground at one point he goes in for a kiss. He's like, fuck off. It's like, Reese, you tried.
You should join a band.
He needs to.
Yeah, so we've got this kind of like light, like romantic element of the episode. And then we have the constant deaths of Lorca. And then the twist ending that's just goofy.
Yeah.
And feels off-putting.
I do appreciate the choice of song because it's sort of a grim joke in and of itself. Because I don't know exactly what it is. It's clearly some kind of remix mashup thing. But one of the songs that is very clearly in there is Bee Gees' Stayin' Alive. It's like, that's cute.
That is cute. Yeah, this is, I think, the first episode of a series that used like contemporary music. Like popular music.
Yeah.
Instead of like public domain jazz.
Yeah.
Jazz or classical.
They use some of that bloated budget for licensing. Because there's another contemporary song at some point too, I think. Or maybe it was just that one turned up, but...
In keeping, I noticed, with...
in this episode you mean? Yes,
Yes, okay.
I noticed in keeping with long-standing Star Trek tradition, at the party, instead of having the traditional red plastic solo cup, they had green transparent solo cups.
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
no.
That's true. That didn't occur to me, but you're right.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, it already felt like such a contemporary party.
Yeah.
That red solo cups really just would have been like, oh, come on now.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're even playing like space beer pong.
Right. But yeah, no, I couldn't help but laugh at like, oh yeah, no, that tracks for Star Trek, turning normal things into the green plastic transparent version of them.
That's how you know it's the future. Yeah, I've begun to realize where I think, I have a huge bias for this show. Because, especially this season, like this, as the character sort of progresses over the years, she changes. But I'm like, oh God, I identify way too much with Michael. You have a malfunctioning emotional palette you're working on building, and you don't like parties. I'm going to go cry in a corner now.
Yeah, and I think with respect to Michael, she's, at this point, I think that they had still wanted to ground her character in something, and that was the xenobiology, because it comes up, right?
Yeah,
she
finally
knows about the
space whale,
the Demogorgon, the gamma whatever,
the Gamma Quadrant Gorgon,
space whale.
Yeah, so she knows about the animal, but then, like, strangely, in a later scene, in one of the repeats of that scene, it's Saru that knows about the animals.
I think he looks it up on his screen.
Yeah, because she's not... Like, she knew faster, but I think it's one of the ones where she's not there.
No, okay.
It's one of those things, like, once it's close enough to scan, you're like, hey, we're fine.
Yeah.
But at first, they was like, there's some kind of animal out there called the animal person.
Yeah.
Also, apparently, like, what I've learned from this is that, I guess, if you're a Starfleet doctor, you're also trained as a vet. Because both times there have been issues with non-humanoid creatures, medical staff have been on edge, because she brought in Culber a few weeks ago to look at Ripper. And now they've got a medical guy in the shuttle bay to check on the Gormagander.
Well, I think that actually makes a lot of sense, and I'll tell you why. Because, animals are animals. Yeah. Humans are animals.
Yep.
And, like, a vet has specialized knowledge that applies only to animals, right? That's not, like a human doctor wouldn't necessarily know. I mean, by human doctor, I mean a doctor for humans, not a doctor who is a human.
Right.
A human doctor wouldn't necessarily know all of, like, the details of, like, a cat's anatomy, for example.
Right.
But that a vet would. Yeah, and vice versa. But in Starfleet, a Starfleet doctor isn't treating just humans. A Starfleet doctor is treating humans and Andorians and Tellarites and Klingons and all these other species. So extending that skill set, like, basically a Starfleet doctor's skill set necessarily has to be inclusive of many different species.
Yeah, very generalized.
Yeah, so exactly. So it's like, okay, well, I know that, like, most life forms have a nervous system and a heart and a liver and, all these things. So the knowledge has to be fairly generalized. And I bet you the technology also helps
True.
with
True.
that.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is that was kind of the conclusion I had come to as well. It's like, well, you're going to be working on a variety of species, and so now if the only difference is necessarily level of sapience, then yes, your vet and your MD can be the same guy.
Really, it's that your tricorder is doing all of the work.
I mean, I think probably the level of sapience is a good point, because that's probably the biggest difference between veterinary medicine and human medicine, is that like a human can tell you where it hurts.
Exactly. That is like in our world like the key factor right now is because again, I think at the end of the day, like especially when we're all from the same root cells, like I'm sure a doctor could treat a cat.
Oh yeah.
A rough doctor. A human medical doctor. Because, like, all the systems are there. Again, the main thing is they're trained to deal with a patient they can, like, work with more actively. But otherwise, like, I'm sure, if a cat could tell you where it hurts, a doctor could go, okay, do this.
Yeah. Yeah, and, like, a lot of veterinary medications are just human medications.
In much smaller doses, Or larger if you're dealing with, like,
and flavored like chicken.
Yes. Why isn't ours?
I don't know.
Like, why is ours just gross pills?
Yeah.
But yeah, and that thing is, it totally though, that it does make sense that they just kind of have to be a bit of everything.
Yeah.
I'd also like to think that by the future, like, they've acknowledged that dentistry is part of the human body. Because we weirdly, as a culture, medical and dental insurance are separate, even though it's all our body and impacts one another. Crazy. Again, obviously you're going to have a dental specialist, just like you're still going to have heart specialists.
Right.
I'd like to think maybe in the future your GP could clean your teeth for you while he checks your heartbeat.
Weird. Anyway, you say you commiserate with Michael a lot in this, and I think this is where I start finding Michael very annoying. Just because it becomes the Michael Burnham show. She admits straight up, I'm the most important person in the universe because of all these things. And I don't buy it yet. I don't give a shit about Michael Burnham.
Oh, yeah, no, like I said, for me, it's a bias based around, again, her being terribly important, I don't identify with. It's the whole, like, oh, you don't know how emotions work either. Great. Oh, God, I'm identifying with this character. Someone help me.
Is this the first episode that she has one of her log entry things at the end, like, going out of the episode, where she whispers to you the moral of the episode? Because I hated it.
I think all of her other log entries have been at the top,
Yeah, like, I first noticed it's like, oh, this. I come to hate this so much.
Do they do it a lot? I genuinely don't remember.
They do it a lot, where it's always like, oh, this week we learned about, the power of honesty and love and this, and doing her whispering into a thing. And it's like, this episode would be the same without this.
Yeah.
I would prefer no.
Yeah, there's a little lack of a faith in the audience with that, I would say.
I liked Mudd's Andorian spacesuit that he was wearing.
So I thought it was supposed to be Andorian as well at first, but then it occurred to me the antennae, like, bumps are towards the back.
It is supposed to be Andorian, at least appearance-wise. It's supposed to evoke Andorians because it's a reference to Journey to Babel. It's someone dressed up like an Andorian to trick you.
Oh, that's silly.
Which is what the Orions do in Journey to Babel.
I thought he was dressed up like an Andorian because he was just standing in the mouth of a whale.
Yeah, like he needed a spacesuit.
He needed
That's what he got his hands on. And he was supposed to be an Andorian, though. Then, like, the bumps should have been in the front. That's where their antennae are. His were, like, in the back.
Well, these could be new Trek Andorians, too. We don't know. Maybe their antennas have moved.
No, they're still in the front when we see them. Unless we're supposed to assume, like, maybe the bumps aren't for the antenna, but Andorians just inherently like head bump.
They need just to identify themselves.
Yeah, I think the idea is for the audience to look at it and think immediately, oh, Andorian.
Yeah. Oh, they're wrong. I definitely did. And then I thought, wait, no, the antennae are in the wrong place.
I mean, from a practical perspective, I don't think it would make sense to have antenna shapes in their helmets at all.
You would just have a tall enough helmet.
Yeah.
Or you'd smooth them down.
Well, we know we know that they can do that because we saw Tran do it
a lot.
But also, the antenna, as far as we know, are a sensory organ.
Yeah.
So, inside of a helmet. Like if there were like little windows on the front of the antenna things, I would understand it better. Because like as far as I know, like if an Andorian wearing a space helmet isn't able to use their antenna, they are probably impaired in some capacity.
Well, we know they need them for balance.
Yeah, so maybe they're just blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's true, because when Strand lost his, he was all fucked up.
Wobbly, yeah. Yeah. But, I mean, they did work at first. You know, so, yeah, Andorian, certainly. But then I'm enough of a nerd that, wait a minute.
Also, and this is something I think carries over from the last one, this is a darker Mudd than we see in TOS. Like I know he was a human trafficker, and I know he was a
robot
enslaver, but I don't really know that I would think that the TOS Mudd was a mass murderer, and this Mudd clearly is. Yeah, and like relishes in it.
Yeah, there is a darkness to Mudd in Mudd's Women.
Oh, for sure. No, he's definitely a dark character.
Yeah.
I just feel like this is really darker than we've seen. Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. I don't, does it track? I have no idea. It might be a bit of a retcon.
I think you just have to accept that this is a fully different show.
Yeah.
And in this world, this is what the people are like. Like, the Klingons are fully different.
Also,
and people complain about that as well.
You could see Mudd being the kind of guy who justifies it to himself of like, well, I mean, they all undie when I do the loop anyway. And when he is given an offer to keep most of the crew alive, he takes it, so...
Yeah, but I feel like his original plan didn't involve that. Like his original, like
it's a little vague.
I imagine his original plan was, I'm just going to give the ship and all of the crew over to the Klingons.
I thought that's what was happening anyway, which is why when he was like, "Oh, do you want to sell Michael to the Burnham? Michael to the Klingons?" I was like, I thought that was already part of the plan.
Yeah, I don't think about it too hard. I don't think the writers did.
They found a fun time loop thing.
Exactly.
And the time loops are fun.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I love the science of that.
Episode. It's very fun. And the fact that Stamets... Like, Stamets was a character that I really disliked at the beginning of the show. And
now he's just chronically high.
Well, yeah, since he's, like, stoned all the time and less of a dickhead, I actually really like his scenes.
Well, what I think is good, too, is, like, when the shit hits the fan and he has to focus, that original Stamets is still there somewhere. Yeah. Like, he's still more chilled out, but there's elements of that there. It's like, so they haven't completely rewritten his character. He's finally got on those psych meds he needed to be on for so long.
These are not the psych meds he needed to be on, Chris.
No, I don't know. He's happy.
These are fucking spores that are, like... corrupting his brain.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, he should, But I will say it is nice, because I forgot about this conversation when a few weeks ago I said, how did him and Culber get together? Oh, this is how, apparently.
Oh, yeah,
Culber likes a rude dick, I guess.
Their origin story was very cute. I liked that for them.
Yeah.
And I loved the way that he tells it to Burnham in a kind of sweet way. I liked that scene. That was good.
That's the thing. He had this moment with her that only he remembers.
Yeah.
You know what he should have done, though? So we know that Burnham can call Sarek at any time. So what should have happened is before the end of the loop, he should have had Burnham call Sarek to tell him everything she knows, and then at the start of the next loop,
would that start over for Sarek too?
Yeah, I guess that's a question. Is it a localized? We don't know. Is it a localized time loop, or is the whole universe repeating?
Oh God.
I assume the latter, but I
guess
no
so.
reason to think that.
I got cause and effect in my head, which is where it was a localized thing.
Yeah.
So maybe, it's like, she could just call Sarek and get the scoop, but maybe not.
The tricky part with that is I feel like that's semi-involuntary. Like, every time it happens, it's because someone is in some sort of crisis.
Yeah. Oh, and also, you're right, it has to be global, because otherwise the Klingons would already be there. And
True, and just kind of waiting for...
So yeah, it has to be a universal time reset.
I thought you were going to say, jumping off of the Sarek thing, like, Stamets calls Ripper. And just calls an army of tardigrades to show up.
See, it's a shame that Burnham isn't full Vulcan, or any amount Vulcan, because she could just download her memories into Stamets.
There we go.
And then upload them on the next loop.
Because that would be much easier.
He would presumably just be able to quickly give her the rundown. Because now he has to, presumably every time, convince her that he's legit.
It's very Edge of Tomorrow.
With her secret. And then... also explain the entire thing. Oh, and here's where we got with our plan as of the last time. And then she has to do the same to Tyler to convince him that it's legit. So it's like, okay, we got 30 minutes to play with here, and we're spending the first 15 of it just convincing each other that we're not crazy.
Yeah. Well, I think Stamets at least works on getting the, like, you know, he gets to do so many drafts that maybe he just writes their drafts for them.
Yeah, here's the key points. Here's the bullet points.
Yeah, but then the written drafts would reset every time. You have a blank piece of paper.
Well, he's got to remember it. Good memory, that's Stamets.
Does he?
Yeah.
Tardigrade memory.
Mm-hmm.
I will say the one thing, another Michael thing that took me out of this episode is, you know, when Stamets asks her to tell him a secret so that he'll be able to tell her in the next loop, you know, that he's trustworthy and this is all true shit. The thing that she comes up with, I would have guessed about her regardless.
Yeah.
She says, I've never been in love. And it's like, obviously.
That's not like, you tell like a password. Like, tell me the name of your first pet. Or, you know, tell me your mother's maiden name. I don't know. Like, it should be a, like, tell me a random secret doesn't work. Because it could be something like that that's very generic. Like, if I was Stamets in that moment, I'd be like, okay, tell me a different secret. Because that's a stupid one.
Yeah, if I use that to like, try to get you on my side in the future, you're going to be like, yeah, it's in my file.
Yeah, tell me a biographical detail about yourself that wouldn't be something that I could know otherwise, unless you told me. Like, that's the object of that.
Yeah, like, this whole episode is about Michael not knowing how to deal with love. Like, we all knew this before she said it.
Yeah.
It's like, I have a crush on a boy and I don't know what to do. And Chili's like, honey, oh God, how am I the one with more experience here? I've dated so many band members.
It'd be great if, like, in the next loop, after telling him the secret, because we don't hear the secret until he says it in the next loop. If he's like, you have another half brother named, you're another stepbrother named Cybok. It's like, oh my God, nobody knows that.
Nice. Okay, that's
not even Starfleet's records.
No, just come up with another one named Zyban.
Yes.
There are
shit, how many are there?
So many secret Sarek relatives. I say, not even secret Spock relatives anymore. They are secret Sarek relatives.
Yeah.
I keep my personal and private lives separate. And also my personal and personal lives.
But I do really like her and Tyler together.
Yeah.
They are
cute.
pretty and they smooch, and I'm into it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I think we might need a new recurring segment. I know we don't do recurring segments on our show other than the Blogtivity, but we need a new recurring segment for Discovery, which is Eye Roll of the Week.
Okay.
Because a few weeks ago we had the
I have my eye roll.
this
I have it written
this
down.
is fucking cool or whatever. This week's Eye Roll of the Week is you're mad.
Yep.
I'm mud.
Yep, I wrote that one down. That was gonna be my winner as well. You're mad. No, I'm mud. Fucking no.
Fucking stupid. Like, what
Terrible.
writer fucking came up with
Terrible.
that line and then like ran off to the bathroom and jerked off immediately? Because that's how I picture that going.
I did not write it, but I got to admit I giggled.
Yeah, but then they kept it in the script.
It's the dumbest fucking thing, but dumb in a way I'm okay with. Because that's
kind
who
of,
I am.
That's kind of the thing about this episode is that the tone is all over the place. Like I do really like the idea behind it, like the time loop stuff. Like that's very fun. We'll probably cover Edge of Tomorrow if plans go correctly.
Hopefully.
And like watching Stamets get a little bit further along with every single loop is really fun to watch.
Yeah.
But it's like some of it's fun, some of it's dark, some of it's like murder. And I don't know what to feel at the end of it with the ending. With the ending that's just a joke.
For me, aside from like I said, I think them kind of, not even the fact that it was a comedy ending, but that it could have been done better. For some reason, the tonal
Whiplash.
everything didn't bother me really. Like
you're
it
you.
all weirdly worked for me. Though again, yes, I do agree that they whiffed the ending a little. Again, I the general idea was there, but it needed a reordering.
There was also an element of this episode that came up, sounded like it was going to be important, and then never came up again in a way that makes me think that maybe in an earlier draft and they just forgot, is the fact that Mudd has a ship hidden inside the whale
Yeah.
that has a bigger time crystal in it.
Well, I think that's like kind of what he's at. Like his wristwatch is connected to it, and that's what makes it work.
But what's the difference between if it was just the wristwatch itself works? Like
that's a good point.
It was to give Tilly another scene.
It was to give Tilly another scene, but like it's like, oh, okay, this is interesting. So they're gonna like go in there and fuck with the ship or do something like that. Like that's how they're gonna solve this is by fucking around with his ship.
Yeah.
And then in the final loop, like
he tries, he's like, shit. Fuck!
No, but instead it just goes as planned, and the 30 minutes runs out, and doesn't the ship eventually get extracted from the Gormagander?
We don't know. Like the whale just gets dropped, and in that scene where it's found out that there's there didn't even need to be a ship in the whale. It just needed to be him in the whale.
Yeah, which is what I thought it was, honestly.
Because he's in a suit.
He's in a suit. Yeah. Like that's why he was in the spacesuit, because he was just in the whale. He didn't even need to be in a spacesuit. He could just been in his ship.
He Jona'd that shit.
So yeah, it seems that it feels like that was just sort of like something that maybe they had planned to do something more with, and then didn't.
But the scene stayed.
I've
done that. I've had something from an old draft of like, oh yeah.
Like what? No, it doesn't really make sense anymore, does it?
But if I cut this scene, then this character has no more lines in the show.
Then Tilly doesn't do anything this
episode. If I cut this scene, the episode's 3 minutes short.
Yeah, so that was a little odd. But yeah, overall...
More Tyler kissing would fill those 3 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, in like any... sort of time fuckery episode, I think, I'm a sucker for them.
Yeah.
I think even going back to Enterprise, one of my favorite episodes was Twilight, which was also a great time for Archer, I think.
We're not segueing yet. No, not yet. Damn you, I have other notes.
Fuck.
Because here's a great line. A great line from Mudd, I believe. There are so many ways to destroy this ship. It must have been a design flaw.
Yes, I like that.
I like that.
That seemed to be a little nod to the history of this damn series and the fact that the ships are just so fragile.
Yeah, it's funny because I know this episode was designed to save money, and they also wanted to bring in the Mudd character again, and said this will be a good time because it's kind of at a point where we can take a break from the Klingon War arc that's happening.
While acknowledging it exists.
Yeah, kind of like what they did in Deep Space Nine, when they kind of let things play out in their correct amounts of time. But I don't know how the fuck they saved money on this with the amounts of effects that there are.
I guess just because there was a lot of reused footage.
Yeah, and it's
not reused. They reshot it every time, though.
Well, yeah.
Oh.
That's what the same thing they did in Cause and Effect, where they did a loop, was they shot it from a new angle so it wouldn't ever get boring.
But I don't know anything about television production, or I know
especially
very
now.
little about television production. But my assumption is that they could, for the scenes that are largely similar to each other and that are just refilmed from a different angle, they probably just
had multiple camera setups.
No. They just did multiple takes. But you don't have to. The thing that takes a lot of time on a...
Setting up the next shot?
It was setting up lighting and everything like that. But if you don't have to change any of that stuff and you're just moving the camera, maybe it's a quicker process.
I don't trust that, though, because I feel like all shots are so specific that they're going to light it in the way that's best for this shot.
Yeah,
probably.
But you are, calling all your extras on one day.
Oh, yeah. They would have to do it on one day.
Yeah, so you are spending, considering how many scenes take place in the same place at least, you are cutting down on, you do all those takes in one day instead of, I could see how in that regards.
Maybe they saved money on not doing Klingon makeup.
Well, I think it's doing Klingon makeup. I would think that
the Klingon sets.
building new sets, because every other episode they're going to some new place.
Yeah.
They're boarding a new ship. They have to build a Klingon prison ship. They have to build a whatever.
Yeah, so you've got this party scene, which is a lot of your episode, which you filmed 7 versions of the same scene.
And it was just filmed in the mess hall that was redressed.
Yeah.
The set they already had.
Yeah. So yeah.
I just remember when we covered bottle episodes for one of our blog activities. Check it out over on sshbpodcast.com. This episode kept coming up when I was doing my research, and I was like, how is this a bottle episode? And okay, I can understand that because it's reusing the sets. That makes sense.
Yeah, they don't have to build any new sets. They don't have to...
They have to pay Rainn Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is certainly the closest to, I think, a standalone episode this season has.
Yeah, which is probably why I kind of like the concept, because it gives me a break.
Yeah, because they say, this is Mudd, he was a prisoner with Lorca and Thing, and that's all you need, and You're good. And like, I'm going to solve stuff the Klingons. Yeah, the Klingons are often an enemy. Sure, why not?
Yeah, I bet you could just show this one to someone who hasn't seen any of the rest of Discovery.
And they'll mostly
get it. They'll wonder why Michael is the most important person in the universe, but that's, par for the fucking course.
Yeah. I mean, there's usually somebody in these
We also
series
don't.
who's been more important.
If we don't have the backstory, we also don't know why Mudd hates Lorca so much.
There is that little,
He seems like a prick.
Yeah,
that's
but
true.
also they do have the little, previously on Star Trek.
True.
He shoves him back in the cell. You're like, okay. Especially since you don't see the episodes. You really don't know how much of a prick Mudd was in that episode.
True.
I do miss Stewart. Stewart is
Yeah, it's a shame. Fuck, that had triggered a thought.
Oh, that's a shame.
And
then Mudd zapped in and shot it dead.
He did.
We also get the concept of a time crystal.
Yeah, which I forgot.
Yeah, have we got?
Was that seated here?
Have we heard of it? Has that ever come up before that anyone can remember?
I don't
think
know.
I know,
so.
not to spoil anything, but I know it does come up later.
Yeah,
in
I
Discovery.
was surprised to hear it here because of that.
But I can't remember if it came up at all on previous Star Trek because it's just the stupidest name for something.
What would you call it?
A temporal displacement actuator device. I don't know.
But this is coming out of Mudd, right?
No, it's.
Oh, does Stamets figure it out?
No, Burnham figures it out.
Of course he does.
Like, it sounds like a TOS term. It sounds like something that Spock
It
would have
does.
mentioned in TOS, but I just don't remember if it did.
Yeah, they didn't do anything with time with crystals in TOS.
Or a TAS thing, maybe.
A very, very cursory glance through Memory Alpha is only showing it coming up in various new Trek series.
Huh. Okay.
Mostly Discovery, a little bit of Prodigy, Strange New Worlds.
So they were just fucking lazy in coming up with a name.
Eh.
Time crystal.
Well, hold on. Here's a Wikipedia entry on time crystals.
A Wikipedia entry on time crystals?
Oh, is it like a real thing? Is it like a real theoretical thing that could exist?
It seems to be
Like something some idiot physicist came up with that's like, this will never actually exist, but
So the thing is, I think it they're talking about usage with quantum computer memory. So I think it's probably a time crystal in the same sense that you could call a quartz a time
so
crystal.
it's not a time travel crystal. It's not like some Michio Kaku shit.
Yeah, no, it's a quantum system of particles whose lowest energy state is one in which the particles are in repetitive motion. The system cannot lose energy to the environment and come to rest because it is already in its quantum ground state. Sure. First proposed theoretically by Frank Wilczek in 2012 as a time-based analog to common crystals, whereas the atoms in crystals are arranged periodically in space, the atoms in a time crystal are arranged periodically in both space and time. I don't know what any of that means, but all I know is some writer,
the podcast
some Trek writer heard the words time crystal and went, "It's a science thing," and said, "We're going to use it for time travel," and it's like, that's not what he meant. Okay.
Who knows? Who fucking knows?
Yeah.
I did notice that, assuming Mudd's count is correct, which who also knows, that he gets to kill the whole crew at least 56 times. So, if you map that out, then at least 28 hours have passed. So has he been awake the whole time? When he resets, is it just him continuously being himself and awake? He should need a nap.
I was saying, there's one loop in there where he just set a 30-minute timer on a bomb and took a nap.
Yes.
But also, honestly, he's probably got some super space uppers he could take. It's the future.
Yeah, or the time thing doesn't affect his physiology in the same way, and his internal clock resets each time too.
Yeah, maybe.
Or again, I mean, it's not a huge stretch to think that this criminal just pulled an all-nighter, effectively, and again, maybe had some space speed.
Yeah.
Just like, meth.
Oh, God.
But that would have been, I mean, that
Spores.
probably would, maybe instead of the stupid ship in the whale scene, they could have just had an extra scene where he expresses that he's getting tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even have Stamets be tired.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's the interesting thing is, Mudd, we know, is because he's the center of all this, there's all sorts of stuff. Stamets retains his memories, but does he reset physically? I mean, he seems to, because he keeps...
It doesn't even matter if he's also, tripping out on spores and stuff. For a hot second, I was like, oh, wow, this reminds me of my fanfic that I did for Enterprise, which you all should, check out on the Stumble. It was a good time. In which every next iteration of Dr. Soap is crazier and crazier. And I was like, that's just Stamets on a normal day, though.
Yeah, that's true. Huh.
Yeah, I also noticed this episode was nominated for a Hugo for dramatic presentation and lost to The Good Place's The Trolley Problem. Which makes sense because that is a phenomenal episode.
Still have to watch that.
It's
I know.
so good.
It's on the list.
Almost any episode of The Good Place is going to be better than any episode of Discovery.
This is a pretty good episode.
This is a pretty good episode, but yeah.
But yeah, like we've been going through it, like it really should have capitalized a little bit better on the storytelling aspect of, especially the ending, possibly some other stuff. It did also introduce that we have, I'm going to hopefully pronounce this vaguely correctly, George Alavisos, who plays that officer in the wheelchair. And they said it's, it's to show wartime sacrifice, because they point to him and like, oh, look, the wounded guy is here. But also people just see it as, a nice show of inclusivity on a show.
Yeah.
Which you don't see a lot in especially in sci-fi. Because, it's the future. Everybody is cured of everything.
Yeah.
Except Geordie LaForge.
And yet he got offers to get new eyes all the time.
Yeah, but then they showcase how it's like, no, this is just who I am.
Yeah.
I want my visor.
Which was also nice.
Robo eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I've seen people post about that before. How it's nice that you've got oh god, in DS9, the one who's
Melora.
Melora.
Oh yeah.
Who is no, I'm just gonna when I'm in your gravity, I'm gonna use my chair and fuck you and.
But the whole point of the episode was Julian trying to find a way to cure.
Well, because Julian's an idiot
Yeah.
and doesn't appreciate especially Julian. Again, a very inappropriate relationship with a patient. Yeah.
I still hate how Michael runs. She runs in a way that looks like it's wasting as much energy as possible.
It's very bouncy.
She's running like a gazelle, but humans are not gazelles.
But my argument there is she learned how to run on Vulcan.
On Vulcan?
So...
Maybe they have different gravity on Vulcan.
I mean, for all we know, that's just how Sonequa Martin Green runs.
No, because we see her in other scenes and she runs normal.
Oh.
I think it's when she's working out running that she has to do this, I'm going to run really bouncily. And it's like, honey, you're going to wind yourself immediately.
Maybe that's the thing. Maybe it expends more energy, so she
She
gets a
can
more
take
efficient
less run.
workout. Yeah.
Alternately, it's because, like you said, since they're running through that segment of set, it's like, okay, Sonequa, you need to run slower while looking like you're running faster.
That could be it.
Is there some kind of weird bounce you could... And that honestly might be what it is. It's like, okay, we need you to not go as fast as you can because we only got so much set. But you have to look like you're exerting yourself. So we need you to do this. That's actually probably what it is.
That might be it.
Just the reality
they've only
of the
got so
set.
long. Like, I know I was listening to an episode of the Delta Flyers, and Robbie and Garrett were saying, like, whenever they had to do a walk and talk down a hallway, the way they would figure it out, like, where they have to start in the hallway, is they'd start at the end and go backwards. I don't think they walk back. They just, do the scene the other direction to figure out where they have to start so they can plot out how far they have to walk to get the scene in. Which is cute.
Someday they will spend money on just building a loop set proper, like how on, what was it, Matrix Reloaded. They spent
the
so
highway.
much money to build just a little loop highway.
Yeah.
So they didn't have to keep stopping.
Yeah, that's true.
Nice.
Which I think was probably one of the most expensive parts of that film and one of the most audacious things a movie had done up to that point.
Yeah. Yeah, Jonathan Archer, though, man, that guy.
Okay, here's my last note. We'll move on to Jonathan Archer. This was all an elaborate ruse for Stamets to get dirt on Burnham. The end.
Now, him and Hugh are going to be giggling about it later.
Oh, no. How many half-brothers does she have?
So many. There's one she doesn't know about.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, this is as much an as long. Here's the thing. From Stamets' perspective, as long as Mudd never learns that Stamets is the key to the spore drive, which again, it's damn good thing that nobody else on the ship let that slip to Mudd.
Right? Yeah.
Like, because
where's Stamets?
Because here's the thing: everybody except for Stamets and Burnham and Tyler, after a while. Nobody else knows that this is a time loop.
Yeah.
Everybody else assumes.
Yeah, Stamets only tells the people who need to know ASAP.
Like, that's the thing. That was the thought I had earlier. Thank you. Even though he doesn't fully manage to do what he wanted, Mudd does now know.
True.
About the ship's secret and how it works. He could still sell that information to the Klingons.
True.
Huh.
Even if he can't deliver the ship to them directly.
He should have been in fucking jail. But yeah, so he knows. But anyway, so yeah, nobody else knows that this is a time loop. So somebody, surely, at some point, would have been like, okay, this guy is going to kill us all. He's going to hand us over to the Klingons. Maybe I can negotiate myself out of this by giving him the information he wants, which is how to operate the spore drive.
Yeah. Although it seems like he seems to mostly only ever say that on the bridge.
The other thing, there's no record in the computer anywhere that Stamets is involved in the spore drive operation.
There's no record that Michael is on the ship?
Oh, apparently, well, no, they lampshaded that by him being like, well, I checked the crew manifest. And she's like, well, I'm not technically on the crew. You didn't check the passenger manifest, biatch.
Eye roll. Also, for that matter, like, Stamets jumps to the conclusion, like, oh, Tyler is going to have info on Mudd from the prison that's going to be useful. Why not also ask Lorca, the captain who spent time with Mudd?
No.
Because Lorca...
Why do we never involve Lorca?
One, he's a jerk. Two...
Oh, Mudd goes for him first every time.
True, but also, honestly, if anyone's really going to have a hard time believing all this, it's Lorca.
Yeah, it seems like only in the second to last loop where they told Lorca.
Yeah, and he definitely makes a face.
Oh, yeah, he's
like...
I don't like this.
Yeah, when he greets Captain Mudd as he boards the bridges.
Oh, that's the very last loop.
Oh, is that the very last loop?
Yeah.
That's where they fool him.
Oh, okay.
With the chair.
That's right. Okay, but either way, yeah, that was a fun moment.
How is the chair not essential systems? The chair controls a lot of things.
It's got the Finny tube button.
Right?
Seriously.
If you can launch that ion tube, you can kill anybody you want.
Although, having said that, the Finny tube, even though it's only supposed to be used in a red alert, isn't actually prevented from being used in a yellow alert, apparently. Because, yes, Kirk had, in fact, been at red alert, but you'd think a failsafe that could have just ended the argument right there would have been, the button literally doesn't work if you're in yellow alert. So, but apparently not, because people were like, no, it's possible he pushed the button too early. So, not the best made chair sometimes.
Terrible chair.
Yeah.
Nice, looks nice, though.
Yeah.
The look of it's great.
Classic.
Had a thought. Where'd it go? Thought.
Lost in the time loop.
Brain. Oh, yeah, you know what we could have filled, cut the doing vet work on the Gormagander and filled with? Anytime Stamets was learning new things and they didn't work. Like, okay, I'm going to try just asking Tyler outright. Nope, he does not trust me at all. I need Michael to figure this out. I kind of want that scene. There's
one loop where he's just really annoyed and he's like, wait a minute. Anything I do, this loop doesn't count. So he just sits there eating so much ice cream. Like, I don't care! Well, we lost our chance to segue gently. Archer!
So, hold on.
Jake is...
he's next.
I'm having a
watching
thought.
the little
I thought you were trying to figure out how to segue.
No, I was.
There's a hamster in there
there's
running like mad.
I was thinking... So, in one of the loops, one of the early loops, Stamets kills Mudd.
Yes.
Before the reset. But the reset still happens.
Yes.
Because the ship was already programmed to self-destruct.
Yeah.
And his arm thing still worked or something.
Right, because
the crystal was up the whale's ass.
He still had the crystal, even though he was dead. Or maybe he was just stunned. We don't know. He was unconscious, at any rate. Why couldn't Stamets have just done that?
Each time?
Or just... I mean, really, he just has to do it before the ship is rigged to blow.
He just has to be...
He just needs to make it so that if the ship doesn't blow up, and if Mudd doesn't do anything by the 30-minute mark, the wristband just disappears and his plan is foiled.
He just needs to be in the shuttle bay when they beam in the Gormagander, runs into its mouth and kicks Mudd in the dick.
Well, here's the thing. Mudd is only on the Gormagander the first time.
No, I think he's always in it, because they even in the later ones they mention there's a low power thing, like
yeah, but I think he beams out of it.
Yeah.
The first time is the only time he exits through his mouth.
Okay.
Yes, but in theory, he could have tried to get there fast enough to kick him in the dick before he beams.
Yeah. But maybe that's... Yeah, it doesn't make sense, right? Because Lorca orders Burnham and Tyler to the bridge before they beam
the
Gormagander on board. So there's enough time to get from the party to the bridge and have a little conversation on the bridge before they even beam it aboard. Stamets could have just gone straight to the bridge at the start of the loop.
And shot the Gormagander?
And just said to Lorca, whatever, I know that fucking thing with Saru and we could be court-martialed. No, there's a fucking enemy on that whale.
Yeah, beam him out, then beam the whale on.
Yeah, just, if you gotta beam the whale on, we'll deal with the whale. But just so you know, there's a fucking enemy
named Harry Mudd, and then Lorca will be like, "Oh fuck, shoot that whale," and then
Stamets did this very wrong.
like he shouldn't have been convincing Burnham at all. He should have been convincing Lorca before they beamed the whale aboard.
Claim he tried on his own and it didn't work.
But we
just
never
don't know
saw it. I wanted to
what
see
he was
it.
trying. Yeah.
Arg.
I mean, if he just went straight to Lorca and said, "Don't ask how I know this, but you're gonna in 10 seconds,
spore powers.
in 10 seconds you're gonna see that there's a space whale and a man named Harry Mudd is on board and he's going to take over the ship and kill
Also,
you."
Michael's never been in love.
Yes.
I'm going to tell everyone.
I feel like Stamets went about this one. I mean, if they did that, we wouldn't have had an episode, so I appreciate that.
Right.
But it's one of those like idiot ball
Yeah,
things.
you
where
forget that Michael is the most important character in the universe.
It's just like one of those things where it's like, oh yeah. If the characters were smart, they would have done it this way, and it made it much easier on themselves.
Yeah, but like you said, that how much of television is like, well, then we wouldn't have an episode kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, Archer.
Anyway, you know who else likes ice cream? Jonathan Archer.
Does he?
Trip does.
I
But...
bet he hates ice cream.
Yeah, he probably
that
does.
bastard.
He's that kind of guy.
That son of a bitch. Yeah, so
He's a
we're
prick.
segueing so smoothly into our blogtivity today, and I'm so sorry. We are character spotlighting Jonathan fucking Archer.
Johnny.
Struggling to come up with good moments from Archer, but I do have 26 bad moments.
Nice.
And I think I stopped myself at some point.
Narrowing it down was
Easy. Actually, very easy.
yeah. Well, I feel like we're all gonna have like. There's just so many bad
There's
moments.
gonna be some overlap at the top.
But like,
I made this is a rule I made for myself, was I tried to choose moments that I couldn't also choose for another character, so that I could save them for that other character.
Oh, that's pretty good.
So like,
I did not do that.
Yeah.
So there is one here that will definitely also be on another list.
Let's be real. Like, a lot of Archer's bad moments are also
Phlox's
Phlox's
bad
bad moments.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to skip this one. I'm going to skip that one. I'm going to save those for Phlox.
All right, well, let's
Fair.
start with good moments. And does anyone have any?
I
This
have
was
a couple.
so hard.
Yeah, I have a few. They're not great.
I got one from Caitlin.
Oh.
Well, she came up with one.
Yeah. I asked her if she had anything else. As of now, no. But I do have one good moment from her, and this is actually one I forgot about. So it's like, oh yeah. So we'll give you her one good moment that she has right now. She'll hopefully have more before the blog goes live. Believing to Paul about her assault.
Oh.
Look,
he also blames her for it,
Yeah.
but...
Does he?
Mm,
And I remember us at the time saying, like, wow, he actually just believed her, which is nice. Which, again, we don't have a lot to pick from. This is all relative.
was that Fusion?
I believe that was the title, yeah.
Fusion was the one where the assault happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
And yes.
Yeah, and he definitely immediately was like, I'd like to kill that man.
Oh yeah, he does. He yells at the guy. He
away.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'll give him that.
But I feel like his behavior towards T'Pol after the fact wasn't the best.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly.
And before was terrible.
Anyway, who wants to go foist? Me, I do.
Good job, Jenny.
Okay. I mean, this one isn't really a great Archer moment. It's just a great Archer episode, and because there's not many
Is there
of those.
any?
Twilight.
Okay.
Yeah, I liked what happened to Twilight.
Is that the one?
What's the moment? You guys are so bad at moments.
Wait, which one is Twilight?
That's the time one. That's the
With
one where he loses
mind. Okay,
So the specific moment I'm going to call out is when he protected T'Pol from the wave of bullshit.
Oh, that actually kicked it all off.
Which kicked it all. Which basically.
Oh, in the first.
In the beginning,
yes.
yeah. The thing that
Actually
initiated
causes
his brain worms.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, I understand that one.
So yeah, that's my moment. He saved T'Pol, and in the process gave himself brain worms
And destroyed humanity. Oops.
and destroyed humanity. So good on you.
Well done, John.
Now this is a moment that really I think should be celebrated no matter who does it, because Worf's done it, and now Archer's done it. And there's really only two people that I know of that can claim to have done this.
Killed a child during a soccer game?
Killed Duras.
Oh!
Because
That's
Archer
right.
kills the first Duras. I mean, technically, I think he orders someone to fire on Duras' ship, and that kills him. But Duras is such a piece of shit.
Yeah, fuck the Duras family.
I just love when Duras gets killed.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
good on you, John.
You know what episode that was?
I'm pretty sure it was in the Zindi, or it's whatever
The season 2 finale.
the season 2 finale, because they had to quickly wrap up the Klingon.
Yep, they were getting chased.
So I think it was the Zindi. It's whatever.
Okay, I think you're right.
It's not.
It's not The Expanse.
It's not The Expanse because we'd already dealt with it by then. Or maybe it is The Expanse.
Or is The Expanse the first episode of season 3?
The Expanse is the first episode of season 3, but is
Either it's the season 2 finale.
okay.
Either way,
if you're sure of that, then
I think you're right in that.
Then I'm pretty sure it's the Zindi, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's something else.
How many Duroses can we kill?
Whatever. Just figure out which episode Duras gets killed, and that's the one. And then I'm going to say, in another sacrificial moment, trying to sacrifice himself, despite everyone telling him it's a bad idea, in Azadi Prime, when he goes on the mission to destroy the weapon.
I had none of these on my
fully.
list.
Well, that's why I was trying to be creative. fully expecting to be destroyed by the Zindi, and I'm just far too sad that it's kind of negated by the fact that it didn't work.
That he lived, that bastard.
And he survived.
Dang.
I was wrong. The season 2 finale is in fact The Expanse. But yes, it is the one where he kills Duras.
Okay.
Oh, that's the... Okay, that's what we have the Expanse and the Zindi confused.
Yeah,
we do, yes.
Okay, gotcha.
So the Zindi's the premiere of season 2.
Yes.
Got it.
Great titles, guys.
Minor crap, because John has no good moments. Best I could do. This was kind of clever. The transporter bluff in Chosen Realm.
That is a good one. I like that one.
Rest of the episode, fuck you, John, but that's clever.
Yeah.
Managing, and honestly, a lot of this was on Trip, but fuck it. John still was the instigator. Helping the Vulcans and Andorians start to get along in ceasefire. He kind of works with both of them. The one
fucking one is ceasefire.
The one where our favorite lady shows up as an Andorian and betrays Shran. Susie Plaxon. The one with Susie Plaxon, Andorian.
Okay. I don't remember anything Archer did in that.
Yeah, he helps make them talk to each other finally.
Oh yeah, they have
a conference, but they try to kidnap.
Oh, okay, and they brought Soval with them.
Yeah. Again, it's not great, but it's John.
Well, there are better examples of this, but okay.
Yeah. And then the best I could come up with personally was his dealing with Reed in Minefield.
Oh, that is a good one. I didn't have that one either.
He managed to talk him down and didn't just sacrifice him, even though he was like, please sacrifice me, sir.
Talked him into doing a big dookie in his pants.
Yeah. It was a nice moment.
It's okay. It's okay, Malcolm. We all do it sometimes.
Yeah.
Pants shitter.
Yeah, it was a nice moment for, honestly, both of them. I was like, yeah, all right, John, you did good.
Okay. I have a couple other ones that I thought were pretty good. Not that one. That one I'm going to save for last. Okay, here's one that's like a very good Archer moment. Mm-hmm. But it will probably also be on my Phlox list because fuck my life. The speech that he gives to the Organians an observer effect about how fucked up what they're doing is.
I forgot he gave a speech.
I like that one because Phlox also gives a speech. But, so prepare for that to come up again.
Yeah, that's fair.
But it's one of his moments of doing something good, which is nice.
That's fair.
I'm going to also give it to the speech he gives in Terra Prime about how humans still have a long way to go.
Get from here to there.
Yep. It's a long road, guys. And I'm surprised no one's come up with this one, because this is the only good redeeming thing about Archer that I can think of for the whole show. And that's his devotion to Porthos. Exemplified when Porthos is sick and he wants to be with him in A Night in Sickbay. Otherwise, a Drek episode, but I understand Archer wanting to be with his puppy.
No, that's fair. That's the thing is, I looked at that, I was like, but he does so much other shit in that episode that's dumb.
Well, that might come up again in our bad list.
So yes, that is fair. I did try to think up something to integrate Porthos. We all love Porthos. Good boy, deserves a better owner.
Yeah, I thought instead of the ceasefire one you said, I thought you were going to bring up Babel 1, where he doesn't kill Shran.
Which one's Babel?
Babel's the one where he and Shran have that Ushan-Tor fight with their mining implements.
Yeah.
The fight to the death that you can get out of just by disabling your opponent.
The fight to the death, asterisk.
Everyone who fights this fight will... There's two men enter, one man leave, unless one of the men is unconscious, in which case both men leave. Just one of them is unconscious and it's fine.
Well, see, it's not leaving if someone else has to lift you bodily.
That fucking thing. That stupid fight.
Like I said, the classic Star Trek technicality.
Yeah. I don't know if I mentioned this at the time, but one thing I did like about that fight, just in general, was the stupid handcuff, how they had to be handcuffed to each other.
Yeah, it made the fight choreography a little bit more dynamic.
Interesting, and it was like kind of like a harkening back in a way to like Amok Time, where they had the special weapons that they had to use. Where it's like, there's like a cultural thing. I don't know, I liked it.
Yeah. I mean, they had a special weapon, a dumb special weapon.
Yes,
that looked like a pizza cutter. Where had he been carrying it? Because the ship was blown. Anyway.
All right, how much overlap are we going to have in our
Probably
bad
a lot.
moments?
Probably a lot, because I wasn't as creative with these ones.
Caitlin did not have a serious response for bad moment. Literally everything else.
Thanks, Caitlin.
Good one. So I'm going to say, I think this one's, these are all pretty obvious, I think. But I think I'm going to bring this one up because I had some like meta commentary on it. And that is stranding Casey Biggs by
That's a shitty moment.
pirating his ship.
Mm-hmm.
And thinking about this moment made me think a lot about the needs of the many outweighing the needs of the few.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's kind of Archer's rationale there, is that like, okay, if I don't do this, everyone on Earth is going to die because the Xindi will launch their weapon. So I'm being forced to do this horrible thing and strand these few people in space.
But he never makes this argument.
No, but that was the thought process, I would say, right? Like, my mission's more important than you guys not being stranded in space, right?
Okay.
But then it made me think about that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, and that is, or what Spock says, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or the one. It really should it should be changed, because that's shit logic, and I'll explain in a minute. It should be the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the self, because it is immoral, and maybe that's why it's strict logic, but it's at least immoral, possibly illogical, to invoke that for anyone except yourself.
So you're saying instead of a trolley problem, this should have been you throw yourself in front of the trolley.
It's not, because that's what Spock does, right? He throws himself in front of the trolley.
Yeah, he doesn't send Geordi to his death.
Right.
Like Troy likes to do.
Yeah, because you could use the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few to justify any manner of atrocities.
Yeah.
You know? Like, that's terrible.
It has to be a self-chosen.
It has to be a the needs of the many. It only makes sense, and it's only profound in that sense that I'm sacrificing myself to save a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
Great, you did good. But to invoke it for a situation like this, where it's like, yeah, I'm going to fuck over those people to save my people, that doesn't work. Like, if Casey Biggs hears him out and is like, you know what, John, your entire species is going to go extinct if you don't have this warp coil, go ahead, take it. We'll survive.
Do please come back.
Then that is a needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, because Casey Biggs is like, I understand. Here you go, buddy.
That would have been a better episode.
Yeah.
It's like him sitting down.
It's a little bit similitude when Sim understands that he needs to die.
Yeah, Sim, needs of the many outweigh the needs of the self.
I mean,
it's more important that you have Trip Tucker than you have me.
It's really like that whole season should have just been a lot of ethical conversations that we didn't get.
Yeah, until like the last episode.
And I like that, at least in that episode, Archer knows it's a bad thing. He doesn't, other than giving them some extra supplies, he doesn't really seem to bother him too much.
Nope.
But at least he knows it's wrong.
Yeah, it's wild because I was trying to look up what are good moments for Archer on the internet, and the internet's provided me with here's some good Archer episodes, and they're a lot of the ones like this episode where he does a bad thing, but you can see the moral quandary as the viewer. Yeah. And that he did the bad thing. So there's still moments that belong on the bad list, though, is the problem.
Oh, yeah. No, exactly. I don't dislike this episode so much. But, it's definitely a bad thing he did. So it's on the list. What else is on the list is that time he tortured the fuck out of a sphere builder.
Yes.
Without even knowing what it was. Just, we found a guy. Let's torture him.
That's in Harbinger.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a shitty thing, Archer. Very bad.
There's more torture moments, but I'll save those for you guys, because my last moment is not, I guess it's not a twofer, but it's a two-parter, because it's like one bad-ish thing leading to a bad thing, which is not granting the cogenitor asylum.
Oh, yeah.
And then blaming Trip for their death.
Oh, terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Very upsetting.
Which was fucked up, John. Fuck you.
Yeah, that episode.
Yeah, and then the whole episode lets you wonder, like, wait, whose side was I supposed to be on? Which is the writers doing a bad thing.
Yeah.
So, Ames, you like it when things are on both lists?
I do!
Azadi Prime!
Oh my god!
Because
I was not expecting Azadi Prime.
as I said at the time, the one fucking time John doesn't listen to Daniels is when Daniels is like, hey, maybe try diplomacy? He's like, no, I want to suicide myself. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Every other time this Zuckerberg-looking prick shows up and tells you to do a thing, you're like, okay. The one time he tells you to just be a diplomat, to do the right thing, to do the Star Trek thing, you're like, no, fuck you?
Yeah, fuck that man.
Yeah.
And Daniels, too.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, don't worry, I still hate Daniels. But that was the one time where I'm like, John, this is the one time I needed you to listen to that idiot. Dear Doctor, because obviously.
Yeah.
And cogenitor, because obviously.
Yeah, I deliberately didn't, as I mentioned. At the
Yeah.
start, I was like, I'm gonna save Dear Doctor for Phlox, because
yeah.
I want to. Like, I was like, yeah, Archer was bad. Like, that was a bad thing that Archer did, but really, it's Phlox's fault. So
Yeah.
I'm giving Phlox it's like a 60-40.
Yeah.
For me.
I considered doing the same thing. I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'll just put it on both.
Yeah, that's fine too.
Okay, I have literally dozens and dozens of it.
Good.
Oh, there were so many bad ones.
So many bad ones. The ones still at the top of the list. Hello, White Cat. What, you want up? Yes, hello.
No.
White Cat's going to help because he also hates Archer. For the principle of the thing, this has to go on my list. It has to be somewhere in the blog.
Yep.
Utterly destroying the Vulcan monastery in the Andorian incident. I still fucking hate that about Archer, and I always preface this by mentioning like this is the episode in which I started to not like his character, and he only gets worse from here because he's constantly racist and judgmental and a dick. And this was the episode that started that off for me. So it is going on my list.
Yeah, I thought about including that too, but I'm saving Pajem for assuming we have a Shran week.
We just struck the Shran week.
Oh.
With the Shran week, maybe come back up. We'll see.
It may come back up. But if we have well, anyway,
Being
again,
fair,
that's another one where, like, Shran was already there. He was already fucking up that monastery.
so much.
Archer might have helped.
Well, Archer went in on... What word am I looking for? With bad intent. Not bad intent.
He went in with big swinging dick.
He went in assuming everything that the Vulcans were saying was going to be lies no matter what they were.
Yeah.
He was always going to be a dick to Vulcans on this planet. And I hate the man.
Well, he goes in under the guise, at least, of like, oh, this seems like a tourist destination. Even when T'Pol's like, it's not a tourist destination.
At all.
It's a fucking monastery. We shouldn't go.
Yeah, this isn't the Vatican,
Yeah.
which is combination headquarters and yes, tourist spot. This is like a fucking bunch of monks in a mountain who want to be left alone.
Yeah.
Like we've got the Vulcan Vatican if you want to see that. You can buy a hat. It's got pointy ears built in because creatures like that for some reason.
Archer, that's weird.
Although to be clear, he reveals the secret that leads to its destruction. He doesn't blow it up.
He causes it to get blown
He
up.
walks into the monastery and like breaks everything inside of it.
Oh, I think you're talking about but the Andorians literally blow it up.
Yeah, but
completely
but
later.
Well, that's much
But he
later.
does that.
Yeah.
He
That's
does
another
that.
episode.
I thought you meant he blew it up.
No. I meant
Yeah, he does break a lot
Oh
of
yeah,
shit.
he does
Yeah.
break a lot of shit.
So
But,
much
but
shit.
it's because he realizes that there's a hostage situation happening.
He didn't when he started.
Yeah, no, he definitely went about it the wrong way. Don't get me wrong.
He just knew there was something wrong, and then he got in a fight in the middle of it.
Didn't he see a reflection of an Andorian hiding behind a wall?
Yeah,
And that's how
yeah.
he knew that there was hostages.
Yeah,
being
but again,
taken?
he fucked up the situation.
Oh yeah, no, he didn't.
There
handle
were better
it
ways
well.
to deal with it once he realized what was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, he fucked it up.
Yeah.
Out of racism. First,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
then out of the situation.
Yeah, no.
Anyway, going.
His Vulcan bias was on anti-Vulcan bias was on full display.
Exactly.
Oh, and they also knew there was something wrong because the door was busted when they got there, right?
The door was busted.
Yeah.
They didn't. They had no idea. Why.
Yeah, but
Yeah, he was still until he saw the
Paul
Andorian.
was like, "Why the fuck? This shouldn't be like this."
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you go inside and the monk that's there is like, yeah, it's fine.
Please leave.
you don't walk around destroying things.
He's Vulcan. He's clearly lying.
Yeah, like, even when the guy is clear, like, you should go, he sticks around even before he knows. Yeah, no, don't get me wrong, he definitely fucked this up badly.
Fair.
Oh gosh, this one hasn't come up, and this is another one's going to be on both lists, which is great. Utterly refusing to apologize to the Cretaceans when Porthos pissed on their sacred tree, and being all asshole about it the whole episode long, when all he had to do was say, I'm fucking sorry.
I mean, to be fair, the Cretaceans are scumbags.
So you still shouldn't be an asshole
Oh,
about
no, I agree, though. That was
destroying
fucked up.
their
Yeah, no,
things.
for sure.
Yeah,
But the
yeah.
Cretaceans suck. Like, we've acknowledged this.
Like them.
Don't bring
them
your
sucking.
dog.
Yeah, them sucking doesn't negate that Archer also sucks.
Let's just say, if the Cretaceans were like, don't piss on my sacred tree, I would personally piss on the sacred tree, because fuck those guys.
Yeah, no, history, I've said it before, Star Trek has a long history of, like, just bring him out the biggest dickheads in the world who expect you to play by their rules, but they don't have to play by anyone's, and it's like, ugh,
Yeah.
that is way
Well,
too close to real life.
That's why I don't like the Cretaceans.
You'd think don't piss on the tree should be obvious.
Well,
yeah.
and like, just don't bring your dog to a first contact.
That's the problem. Is that like, oh, Porthos needs to run around for a bit. You do the first contact,
Yeah.
and you're like, hey, I got this animal thing that I want to bring around. Oh, do you mind if I eat some snacks with my mouth? And then they run the fuck off.
You're not the president of Ireland, John. And even he, I'm sure, knows when to leave the dog at home.
What is the president of
He
Ireland?
has a dog.
He famously has, like, this big, adorable dog that comes with him to a lot of things, and people love it.
Dog.
But again, I'm sure he knows when to leave the dog home.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when your dog does something bad, you take responsibility.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the same could be said of Wesley Crusher on the Edo planet.
Yeah, and he was a scumbag.
They brought their dog Wesley Crusher, who trampled on the flowers, and then they ended up violating the law of the Edo.
Well, to be
god.
fair, the Cretaceans just wanted them to say "I'm sorry" in their special way. The Idosians, the children of Edo or whatever they're called, had a very different and stupid justice system. I have many more, but the one I'm going to pick, and I'll give you all the honorable mentions in a moment. The other one I'm going to pick is how he treats Sim in Similitude, which is fucking tragic.
Remind me what specifically.
Specifically, I'm thinking of the moment where he finds Sim in Trip's quarters and just starts yelling at him.
That's true.
When he basically says, like, don't make me force you to get killed because I don't want to do that because I'll look bad, but it still has to be done. Terrible.
Yeah.
Don't like it. I have many honorable mentions. Let's run through the list quickly. Torturing that Zindi for info in Anomaly. Because that was his first torture, and he loved it. Wiping Degra's memory in Stratagem.
Yeah.
Fucked up.
Yeah, I consider
Real fucked up. A lot of the rest of them are small moments, but I like them anyway.
What was the one where he tortured those other dudes?
That narrows it down.
There's the two dudes from the episode with the fucking perfect mate.
Oh god, that's on my list. Don't worry, we're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to it in a moment. Outing Trip's pregnancy in front of everyone and unexpected.
Right.
Don't like that.
Yeah, no, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's a little moment that made me uncomfortable. It's like, oh wow, yeah, that still sticks with me. How he treats T'Pol pretty much all the time. And my specific moment is in Strange New World when he disregards her suggestions to study the planet first before going down there and then nearly gets everyone killed for it. Idiot, Archer. Listen to your science officer. Accusing the Vulcan captain of spying on him and breaking the ice when, for a change, he wasn't. Trusting Daniels almost immediately with absolutely no proof in Cold Front. Staunchly deciding to go culturally contaminate the planet and civilization when they had absolutely no reason to go down there.
I mean, he did save them, though.
But he didn't know at the time.
That's true.
Which one? Is that the one with the rock people?
No, that's the one with...
Not rock people, like the cave
That's
children.
the one where he gets a girlfriend.
Oh, that one. Yeah,
pretty girl.
When they blow up the
reactor.
They, like, take
whatever.
forever to come up with the idea of shooting the oil lamp or
That's the
whatever.
one, yeah.
It's really convoluted. Just shoot the light. We get it.
Not having done any research on Klingons before sleeping dogs. Just little things like that. Oh, God, not this one. Forcing T'Pol to hang out with a rapist in Fusion. I don't like it. Whatever terrible plan it was to blow up the Romulan mine while hiding just behind a door in space in minefield.
Hey, it worked.
It should not have worked.
That's the writer's fault,
There's
not John's.
no way that should have worked.
He knows he has plot armor.
Blowing up the repair station in Dead Stop just because it was mean to him.
That's being fair.
It was also kidnapping
It wasn't
people and
evil
sapping
station.
their life force.
Just Mayweather.
Well, there was a bunch of other people.
Yeah, no, I think he's maybe justified
I think
time.
Justice for repair station.
I mean, it ended up being fine.
That's true, but he didn't know that.
That's true.
It can repair itself. It is a repair station after all.
I have a couple more. Oh, here's the one Chris was referring to. The terrible good cop, bad cop thing in Precious Cargo.
No, Jake was.
Jake was, okay.
Yeah.
Because that was awful. Just, oh, wow. Because I think he was supposed to be good cop, and that was just wrong.
Oh, is that the one where he sent into Paul in like her full robes and she was?
He said they were gonna like.
Even though they'd already seen them earlier in the day.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not this person. What are you doing?
Points to any scene where they let Jolene Blaylock not wear that jumpsuit, though.
Jolene, 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 Jolene. I'm begging, honey, don't torture that guy.
Yes. Culturally contaminating the people in the communicator and then patting himself on the back for getting the communicator back. Psycho.
The only time they actually use that fucking cloaking device for its intended purpose.
Yep, the little fucking sphere.
Being really condescending to Hoshi when she had her transporter dream thing in Vanishing Point.
Mm-hmm.
Does that count, though? Because that was in the dream.
No, that was after the dream.
Oh, after the dream.
After the dream, it was...
Oh, that's right, yes.
Well, Hoshi, now you know not to be scared of transporters. Oh, she should be more scared of transporters. What the fuck?
That's right. I forgot about that scene.
Heckin' yikes. Being mad at T'Pol for having Pinar syndrome and stigma.
Yeah.
Yikes,
That was
dude.
shitty.
Going over, okay, and then I think we jump because all the rest of the things were from season 3, so they've already mentioned. So we jump to next one. Going over to that Orion ship in the first place and bound, and then taking on all the Orion slave girls as gifts.
Well, I mean, to be fair, at that point he was already under the influence of their pheromones.
I still hate it. Because that episode is fucking garbage.
So
very last one, and it's another little one that it leaves a bad taste in my mouth and I don't like it. Forcing T'Pol to mind meld with Hoshi in Demons. That's gross.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jonathan Archer. Not a nice guy. I don't know what people see about it.
Couldn't tell you.
Him. I saw someone released an article recently of could we see Jonathan Archer in Strange New Worlds?
God, I hope not.
And they're very clear saying, "Oh, this isn't anything based on any facts that we know of yet, but we were just wondering. He'd only be 3,000 years old.
He'd be
140, 160.
Look, it's a shame that they wrote.
Honestly, don't know how old he was supposed to be in Enterprise. Now that I'm thinking about it,
it's a shame they wrote a very bad character for Bakula. Because again, as we said after seeing the game, he seems like a nice guy in real life. If they'd written a nice captain for him, he probably could have played him. But this is the character they wrote for him. So don't bring him back. He's a terrible character.
Yeah.
If you want to bring back Bakula, make him an alien under a pile of makeup. He can play somebody new.
Make him Jonathan Archer Jr. And that's the actual Jonathan Archer that's revered in Starfleet is Jonathan Archer's son.
Junior.
And we just don't talk about OG Archer because that guy was the scumbag.
It's
and
like
everyone knows it.
Philip J. Fry II.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and yet there are still plenty of people out there who are like, oh, I like Enterprise, I like Archer, and I'm wondering if they've watched the show recently through modern eyes.
Because again, even when I thought I liked the show, I knew season 3 was a fucking disaster. Like, goddamn.
Here's the thing. Let me put it this way. If Jonathan Archer had an enemy within transporter accident, there'd only be one guy.
Yeah. It would just come out the same. Yeah. I do have an honorable mention. Because it's not really Archer. But imaginary Prime Universe Archer driving Mirror Archer insane.
Meh.
As
a good moment or a bad moment?
Good moment. Anything to drive that idiot insane.
Bad moment. Mirror Archer's whiffle.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Whiffle?
His haircut.
His buzz cut.
Sure.
It was not good. It did not suit him.
Whiffle? That's called a whiffle?
Yeah.
Never heard that.
Yeah, it's type of cut.
It might be a regional term, because I definitely have heard it before, too. Utica expression.
Flat top.
Jake is out.
Yeah, well, so that's been an awful lot of Archer, and this has
Too
been
much.
a star to steer her by.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, join us next week. I hope you enjoyed this week, even though it was a skeleton crew. But we will hopefully be back next time with a
Jude Law was here?
with a full deck, during which we'll talk about one of two. We're going to have some quantum uncertainty here from our time crystals.
Stamets only knows for sure.
So we will only know once you observe our next episode whether we cover CV Pacem Parabellum,
Jesus Christ, Discovery with your titles.
which means something peace, prepare for war.
I went to the fights and a hockey game broke out.
Yeah. But anyway, that's an episode of Star Trek Discovery, which we may cover next week, but we may also be covering the film Edge of Tomorrow.
Good film.
Starring Scientology's own Tom Cruise. So, there you go, folks.
And Emily Blunt, right?
Sure.
I do not remember.
And some other people, but it's mostly Tom Cruise. Like that's, you're going for the Tom Cruise action. But it's I watched it once a decade ago, shortly after it came out, and I thought it was pretty good. So,
God, it's already that old.
Yeah.
Dear me.
Yeah, 2014, I think. At least that's when I watched it. So yeah, that'll be coming up. And the reason we might cover that is because it's kind of similar in themes to this week's episode. So that's the explanation.
It was hey, that reminds me of, we should do a head forward on that.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, you will find out which one we cover next week. Until then, find us on SoundCloud, close enough, Apple Podcasts, other podcasts, Podcast Addict.
Big yawn.
That's the app I use on my phone.
Sorry, it's federal law. I say, oh, big yawn when a cat yawns.
Oh.
We just say mouth.
Anyway, other podcast platforms. You can see our blog at sshbpodcast.com or on Tumblr. You find us on Facebook, maybe Blue Sky by now, I don't know. Not Twitter, but other social media, maybe. No, I think it's just...
I don't feel like making a threads.
Yeah, we're not doing that shit. So yeah, you just find us where you find us. Yeah, I know our profile's been rising recently because of our inclusion in the top 10 best podcasts of 2024 list, which... We made number 1, and then they didn't bother with the other 9. So
Yeah, just us 10 times.
it was great. So anyway, what's that guy's name from News Radio?
Dave Foley.
Other guy, the asshole.
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan. Eat your heart out, Joe Rogan. We're coming for you.
I'm coming for Dave Foley.
Well, thank you again for listening. This has been Jake.
This has been Chris.
And this is always Ames.
And the Black Cat's also here.
Black Cat sat in for
Hello.
Caitlin today. Good work,
He's
buddy.
getting pats. He's a good boy. Catch ya in the next time loop.
I wasn't expecting to introduce today, so I don't have a clever time loop introduction set up, so fuck it. Welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, episode 375.
Woo!
This is Chris, and joining me today are...
I wasn't expecting to introduce today, so I don't have a clever time loop episode gimmick going, but this is episode 375, and this is Ames.
I wasn't expecting to introduce today, so I didn't have a clever time loop gimmick planned. But this is episode 375,
Woo!
and this is Jake.
This is Chris.
And this is Ames.
And this is Caitlin!
That is one of the Teen Girl Squad.
Yikes. I think Caitlin just bowed out today so she wouldn't have to do the blogtivity.
Yeah, no one wants to do that.
It'll be an interesting one when we get there, but first...